Hello and welcome back to In Focus for this very special episode of the Innovation Series. In this episode of In Focus, partnered by Joust, we're speaking to three of the platform's team to discuss how lead generation, client retention and technology combine to help brokers find, service and delight clients. To unpack how and why brokers can make better use of technology to streamline their business and make the lead generation process more efficient, we're delighted to welcome Anny Wilson, the Chief Revenue Officer of Joust, and two of Joust's ambassadors, Clive Kirkpatrick and David O'Toole. Thank you all so much for partnering with us for this episode of In Focus. How are you all going?
Very well, thank you.
Now, we know that brokers have been super busy this past couple of years as the property market continues to heat up and more borrowers than ever need help. You all have vast experience in the mortgage industry, and I'd love to understand, in your experience, have you ever seen the mortgage market as hot as it is now? And Anny, I'm going to start with you for that one.
I probably did see the market as hot as it is now, probably when brokers made up the market share of 6% back in the olden days, we'd say. But I think with every wave, I think this is particularly one that's been quite large and quite noticeable. And at the same time, I don't think the next generation is going to remember this.
Wow, 6% to now over 60% almost, creeping up towards that 70% target. It must be such a different market as well, seeing how much brokers can help their clients. Clive and David also both very experienced in the broking space. Clive, in your experience, have you seen the property market as busy as it's been at the moment?
Well, it always has cycles, so I think each generation remembers the good old times. But I think the main thing is that, as you said before, customers are now choosing to use brokers more, and that's driving activity into the broker market. And I think the lenders now are looking for alternate streams to get their products into the marketplace, and customers are wanting competition, and brokers are helping drive competition in the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that all three of you are very much champions of the broker space, and David as well for you. Again, a huge amount of experience in the third party space. Have you seen brokers really as busy as they are at the moment before?
Probably not for quite some time, Anny. I've been fortunate enough to be in the broker industry since 1999 in the aggregation space. So it was fantastic to see the industry really emerge and broker market share grow. Probably not since about 2006, 2007, when brokers were really busy, that I've seen something like we're going through today. But having said that, a number of the high-performing brokers that we're talking to do see a little softening, and with some of the regulatory changes coming up, we do see that will taper off a little bit.
Yeah, that's an interesting point with the APRA serviceability buffers taking effect from this month. And we're expecting to see potentially some of the impacts into the non-bank space, maybe seeing the non-banks pick up a little bit more flow as the serviceability buffers change at the banks. But the other issue that I think has really been impacting brokers, particularly at the moment when they're so busy, has been how quickly they're actually able to firstly find clients, write the loans and get them approved. And we know that turnaround times has been a massive issue for this industry in the past couple of years, and particularly since COVID hit. I wonder, looking at sort of the technology that enables brokers to write loans remotely, there's been a lot of change in this space, whether it's digital signatures or verification of identity remotely, or even just allowing lodgements to go through more seamlessly. I wonder what other pain points you've typically seen for brokers in the loan writing process that have been relatively administrative, that are now being innovated. And Clive, I'm going to start with you for that.
Yeah, look, I think most of the aggregators have excellent lodgement systems to take a deal from lodgement through to settlement. And I think that's been enhanced over the last couple of years, and can plug into the gateways, into the banks and the other lenders very much more seamlessly than what it used to be. I mean, I remember the days where we used to fax an application into the bank. So that the aggregators have actually helped drive efficiencies into the banks and other lenders. I think pain points come through possibly with the increasing legislation around best interest duty, the heightened focus on compliance. So a lot of the work on the way through is taking longer to achieve until it then also gets to the lender and then takes it from credit assessment through to settlement. And there's a lot of time spent around getting the deal settled as well. So I think looking forward, I think there's a lot of improvement that could happen in the settlement space. Unfortunately, Australia, or fortunately, is a Commonwealth, and there are different rules and different laws in every state around how you can settle a deal, stamp duty, land titles offices, etc., etc. And I think there can be a lot of enhancement of technology. I know now New South Wales and Victoria in particular allowing electronic signatures on mortgages. So if we can keep driving that type of enhancement, and you're right, with COVID, one of the benefits, and there were some, is that a lot of the lenders have driven that change because they've had to. So I think we'll continue to experience change to make life better for the customer, but it may also slow down the process for the broker.
Yeah, interesting. And David, in your experience looking at some of the typical pain points, I mean, obviously in your aggregation background, you will know this very well. What sort of things that brokers have been facing as a challenge? Have you found that any of that has been changing? Have you seen any innovation in the space, or do you think there's still issues that need to be tackled?
I think there's still quite a number of issues, but I think as an industry we have really coming to grips with what those challenges are. Most of the lenders and most of the aggregators working really closely with each other to improve some of those efficiencies, improve turnaround times, and as Clive mentioned, expedite digital processes that drives efficiency for brokers. I think where Joust comes in for ourselves is more about if you're a manager of a business or a broker and you're so busy in process, you can drop the ball on customer acquisition. And I think innovation for us is around assisting the client acquisition strategies whilst they're busy doing other things. And I think as we go through the next 12, 24 months, the industry will start to normalise around some of those processes, but we'll have embedded ourselves to support brokers around the client acquisition strategies.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I think it's a great point and a great segue as well to look at what actually Joust does, because I think so much of what we've been talking about in this space has been, okay, well, we know that brokers are dying for technology to help them make better use of their time, to help them navigate their processes, to help them streamline their business as well. So from a Joust perspective, what actually are you enabling brokers to do that can help them accelerate this sort of journey to delighting more clients more efficiently? And Annie, I think you're best placed probably to answer that one.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things here. I think the customer acquisition piece is really important to brokers, but I think right now they're very bogged down with process systems and new regulations and all of that wonderful stuff that makes their life not as happy as they'd like it to be. The other part of it also is that digital is another marketplace, and I think Joust is a representation of that, where we have consumers with multiple different needs that they can't afford the time to hop around to many different sites or many different branches in person and things like that. And we talk about the customer acquisition piece. So I think traditional values is brokers rely on referral sources. And those referral sources are traditionally your accountants, solicitors and lawyers or real estate agents. But, if you're a broker group wanting to build scale at fast speeds, you can't afford the time to, have that relationship building piece with referral partners, because one, we know that over 60% of the market is made of brokers in the home lending space. If every broker was knocking down the same, door of the referral source, where's that business going? They're all fighting for this tiny little piece of customer in the market, whereas we represent a marketplace where customers come and they're actually allowing and inviting the invitation of having brokers to engage with them. So gone are the days where brokers would spend, days on the road, business developing, taking people out for coffee, developing a relationship, and hopefully 2 months, 3 months, a year down the path, they might get one referral from that particular source. Whereas Joust is saying, you know what, let us take care of that for you. We'll deliver those customers to you. Do what you do best.
And I guess what's really interesting about this proposition is that it enables a broker to also talk to a client who has willingly said, I need some help here are my details, please help me get a loan. And actually they're able to then already have that information up front. It's a warm lead, they can actually talk about the solutions, and the client is already prepared for that. They know they're desperate for the help from the broker before they get approached. Whereas I think historically in a lot of lead generation platforms, it's a name and it's a number and you're being called at 9 p.m. and you have no idea who's calling you, and it's not always a really sort of pleasant process. So actually having that client being proactive and saying, I need some help here, please align me with somebody who can help me, would be, I imagine from a broker perspective, pretty welcome.
It's very evident in our consumers that come via our platform. They're not just giving a name and number, they're actually giving a lot of personal data over to actually have that engagement. And I think, you know, when you talk about leads generation, it's probably, you know, it's a very old-fashioned term now because of the fact that there's connotations and there's pros and cons about what that looks like. You know, gone are the days where you buy a phone book as a customer base to sell out. For us, it's about, you know, some days I wake up and I think we're a data business rather than a digital marketing business because we collect data, we match it up to the right consumer, to the right broker or lender, and we make sure that that customer journey is actually a pleasant one, and we actually make sure that the conversations that are being had around data points that have been provided, our consumers and customers that come via our platform aren't data scraped. They're actually brought to our platform where they actually sign up. There is a sign up process. They actually, you know, consent to be engaged. So therefore, when you are talking to a Joust customer, you're talking to a customer that's already engaged and ready to go.
Yeah, interesting. And I think, Clive and David, from your experience as well, I mean, we know that brokers oftentimes will have a lot of support from their aggregators around marketing and around getting the messaging out to their databases and trying to get their brand out there as well. I wonder, in your experiences, you know, what does this platform enable brokers to do that could either, you know, save time, save money, you know, save, I guess, sort of headaches? Have you sort of found that it provides a lot of solutions in that arena?
I might answer that in two ways. The first one is broker specific. And as Annie said, you're now in control of the type of customer that you want to engage with. So the old method of generating a lead was you will get a name and a number. This time you're in control. So if you want someone that is a first home buyer in this age group, in these postcodes, that's the lead or the customer conversation that you'll get. So you're not leaving it to chance, and you are getting what you want. Whereas a lot of brokers talk about, oh, these leads are rubbish, et cetera, et cetera. This is not, because you're in control. This is not using a shotgun. This is using a rifle to hit the people. Poor choice of words, but to target's the wrong words as well. To gain access to the customer that you want to talk to. The second part I was going to say is this is not necessarily always about the broker, it's also around the aggregator. Now, aggregators have tied sales forces, such as franchise businesses, are contractually obligated to provide leads. Now, this is a wonderful opportunity to actually understand the individuality of each franchise and target the customers that sit with each franchise. So it will give a better result. It's more effective, more efficient, and will give a better customer experience.
And David, in your experience, have you found that there's, you know, I don't know, typically for a broker, how long they're spending on marketing and lead generation? Is there any sort of, you know, facts, figures, percentages you can give us around that?
So one of the things, just touching on one thing Annie had mentioned, that's our Annie here, Annie Wilson, is if I think about from a consumer point of view, there's a greater propensity to research online around products or services that they're looking to acquire. COVID has driven that, you know, to extremes. And no different from the broker industry, clients are researching online more than ever around mortgages. But when they do so, there's a plethora of information around who they may talk to the extent that they're overwhelmed. I think Joust as a marketplace allows them to come to one point of trusted contact where they do provide proactively their information, and they're actively matched with credit assistance providers tailored to their requirements. So I think for us, that's the piece for brokers that is nearly priceless, because they can't match the spend as a small broker business with large marketing companies. So we add value to them through that way. They can actually focus their revenue spend on their staff, on their processes, and effectively outsource their client acquisition strategies to Joust.
And I think what's actually also pretty interesting is that it's not just broker facing, there's also lenders on the platform too. You can kind of, you're in competition with a lender almost and going up against each other if you go down the auction route. Can you talk us a little bit around, you know, why actually both sort of channels? Why look at brokers as well as lenders and not just lenders, for example?
I think for Joust, our view was that we wanted to bring lenders and brokers on an equal playing field. And the thing here is that we know that there's competition out there. We know that lenders and brokers are competing against each other every single day. But I think to bring it into a marketplace, they can actually see I suppose what's happening. It's a bit of market insight at the same time as the fact that I think we also, there's a couple of things we focus on. The first thing is empowering customer choice and being a platform that's representative of having many types of lenders and many types of brokers on that platform allows buyer's choice. And what that means is that it creates an environment where we can actually bring more consumers to engage. On the other side also, as I said, we strive to bring brokers and lenders on an equal playing field. So what that means is that no matter how much you want to spend, you get a piece of it. So what that means is that you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars competing against a bank. As a broker, I represent 40, 50 different lenders on my panel. So I'm actually armed into that space to compete. And as a lender, I can compete against customers in proprietary channel, customers in the third-party space. So therefore, it takes away, I guess, the separation of where those consumers land.
Yeah, and of course competition is so important because there's not really a one-size-fits-all element when it comes to a mortgage. Like, yes, you have got certain aspects of it that are the same, but everyone has a slightly different requirement. I wonder, the idea of the marketplace as well. It really is a true marketplace, isn't it, Annie?
Yes, absolutely. It gives everyone opportunity to engage, but not every consumer is going to be the same every day, and not every lender offering is going to be the same every day. So that's truly illustrative of what the marketplace looks like.
Well, there's a lot, I think, of focus at the moment, isn't there, on the richness of data and what we can actually do with data. I know, obviously, with things like open banking and the consumer data right, that's another key point of focus, and providing brokers with that information as well when they're given consent to do so is really key to better enabling and better understanding your client and using that data efficiently. Before I let you all go, this is the Innovation Series, and you've already seen the November supplement, which is the Broker's Guide to Innovation. And we are asking everyone for this particular series, what does innovation actually mean to you in the first place? And Annie, I'm going to start with you for that.
Innovation makes life easy, I think, and I think we've become extremely busy. Even during COVID, we were extremely busy. We're working from home and we worked more than we even did before that. And I think innovation allows us to free up the space where it would have been cluttered. It allows us to spend more time with the loved ones that we enjoy, but at the same time spend more time and have quality conversation with customers, and also partner up with partners that help us grow not only from a business perspective, but also grow from a technology perspective and enabling us to do what we do best as human beings, but at the same time closing off loose ends in fulfilling that customer journey and fulfilling what we need to do to grow our business.
David, for you, what does innovation mean?
I think for me, it actually means efficiency and enablement. They're the two words that come to mind for me, because at the end of the day, if I think about the broker industry, it is still a relationship-driven business. In the day, clients want trusted advice, and in the technology and the innovations that have been brought in the mortgage industry has allowed brokers to spend more time actually talking to the clients and actually building that relationship, building the rapport, allowing to provide their trusted advice, and enables a more efficient process of actually processing deals. We wouldn't have got to 60% market share in the industry if that didn't happen.
And Clive, for you, concluding, what does innovation mean to you?
For me, innovation means better customer experience, and then that's what we're all here for. So if we can make it easier for a customer to get what they need, that's innovation. So everything that brings that forward more quickly and gives a much better customer experience and a more efficient and effective way of delivering on what the customer wants, that's what we're here to do. Whether you're a lender, an aggregator or a broker, we need to focus on that, and that will drive innovation.
Great. Well, what does innovation mean to you? Do write in and let us know. You can reach me at editor@theadvisor.com.au, and do take a look at how Joust is innovating as well by visiting their platform and reaching out to Anny if you've got any further questions. Thank you all so much for sharing your insights today and for partnering with us for this very special episode of the In Focus Innovation Series, and we hope you all stay safe and stay well. Do check out the November edition of the Broker's Guide to Innovation for more on this innovation series. We'll see you soon.